This is arguably the last reliable V8 that Chevy ever made.
And it's in my 2007 Silverado. 5.3 liters, naturally aspirated V8. Nothing too special, just there's no fuel management nonsense. This motor was actually pulled out of a fleet truck, meaning it was never equipped with the dreaded fuel management technology that people actually paid more for at the time, known as AFM. But it's been re-engineered in these new trucks, and they call it now DFM.
Which has all led us to here, where we have completed a full DFM delete on this 2020 Silverado. However, you will notice that we are pulled back apart because I'm kind of an idiot.
Because after successfully pulling the motor completely apart, replacing the DFM lifters, valve springs, and installing an all-new Texas Speed cam, we put it all back together, and we were about to fire it up for the first time.
How about now?
When at the bottom of the parts box, I found this. The variable valve timing lock block.
So I was taking a little bit of time straightening up some of the parts and stuff because there's so much crap everywhere. And at the bottom of one of the boxes, some of you might have caught this when I was working this and reinstalling it. We missed something. This over here is a cam phaser. This is the one that came off of the truck. It shifted slightly, so I went and picked up a new one just to be on the safe side. But this guy, with the modifications we have made, is no longer allowed to shift. And Texas Speed includes a part to keep it from shifting, called a VVT, or variable valve timing phaser lock block. It's this right here that gets installed inside of the cam phaser before you put it in the freaking engine. There's no way around it. That has to be in there. And you guys may have just put 2 and 2 together, because guess what we're doing again? We're going back in. This is the pains of DIY and doing anything for the first time, learning how to do it. But one thing I'm gonna do differently this time, I'm not dropping that oil pan. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get that cam phaser out of there without dropping the oil pan, which means we're gonna have to work that chain around that sprocket without the oil pump going anywhere. This little guy just became my entire day.
You know they say everything's faster the second time. Yeah. Belts had to come back off, water pump out, AC compressor off, and the harmonic balancer pulled back out. We then got to the timing cover and then started fighting this cam phaser because there was no way in heck I was dropping that oil pan again.
So here we are trying to track down an anomaly of an issue. We have our brand new cam phaser. We have our original cam phaser. Both of these have a clicking noise regardless of having the cam phaser lock in or not.
Feels like the popping or whatever that is. Coming from here, it feels like.
So we've got a few notes out to Texas Speed trying to track down the solution to that problem, but I have another problem because this cam phaser bolt, which locks in the cam phaser onto the cam shaft, has now been torqued down twice. This is a one-time use bolt. It gets torqued to yield, I think is what they say. You torque it, it stretches itself a little bit, and you can't use it again. And that all means we gotta take a quick trip out to GM Parts. And we're not taking the big kahuna Trail Boss, obviously, so let's break the ZL1 out. It's been a while. Cam phaser bolt. $40 a pop. So yeah, don't get that wrong when you're torquing that down. Man, I love this car. Now, if today's video goes according to plan, we should have a little bit of time to put some go faster parts on the Camaro ZL1 that we call Night Matcha. Now, that's all in preparation for LS Fest Texas that's happening here in just a few weeks. It's my favorite event by far of the year. We'll typically bring out the Camaro ZL1. I'll be competing in the Grand Champion class. But the question is, we usually bring out the C5 Corvette, and my lovely wife usually competes in the C5. But given the amount of work and attention that we're putting on the Silverado Trail Boss, the Big Kahuna, should we bring the Silverado out instead? Let me know in the comments below if we should bring the Big Kahuna Silverado out to LS Fest Texas instead of the C5. So we wouldn't be putting it in the car show. We'd be signing it up for autocross. Let me know. This guy over here sleeping on the job. You working on your tan? Yeah, you're looking nice and tan, dude. looking good. Guys, we figured it out. When I say we, Jesse figured it out. Jesse at Texas Speed, thank you for dealing with the back and forth. It turns out I was off one screw on our cam phaser for our lock piece. And it's because that thing is built to only fit in one spot. So the arrow for top dead center, right there on the back side. Now from here, you go 1, 2, 3 screws. That is the screw that you just break loose to rotate this up and out. Now you need to be careful with this because this can unwind. We have this wrench locked in place, keeping that spring held down. So the issue I was having is I thought it went here but if we put it in the right place, yeah, there's no movement. I'll tell you guys, I didn't even know what a cam phaser was before I started this project. Now I'm disassembling it, understanding how it works and where to lock it in at. This is my favorite part of all these videos, is learning how to do new things. So let's get this thing put back together on a new phaser, get this truck put back together so we can finally start the tuning phase of this truck, assuming it starts and doesn't blow up. Last quick check before we're done messing with this phaser. Stock camshaft, our stock phaser. We have our phaser with our lock in it now. Yeah, I think we did it. Holy moly! We were fighting that one for a while, but cam phaser is on. It's seemingly lined up. The last fight I had was with the new phaser bolt going into the cam phaser. Now this bolt will go in to about there, and you'll try to screw it into the cam and it won't ever go in because it has to push past this little lip here inside like so, and then you can screw it, see?
Now that we have our locked cam phaser back on, wanted to double check that we are lined up top dead center with the mark on the cam phaser before we covered everything up.
We should be on the compression stroke coming up. So our top dead center mark on our phaser is right here. So compression stroke happens here, and when this hits top dead center, that's where the spark ignites and it becomes the power stroke. So we're gonna check to make sure we have air coming out of the cylinder as we turn the crank. But we're also gonna watch that piston come to its highest point and make sure it reaches its highest point when that arrow is pointing straight up to that green line that I drew on here. So the piston just started to drop back down, and you can see there, our mark is just beyond that green line, which means just beyond top dead center, which is where we're sitting, which means I lined up the chain correctly when I put the phaser back on. And regardless of how difficult it is walking that chain off the phaser and then walking it back on, it's significantly easier than pulling the oil pump, dropping the pan, dropping the frame cross member, dropping the sway bar, getting a cherry picker, lifting the motor up about 4 inches in order to get the oil pan out, to get the oil pump out. That literally is all you have to do.
Well, now that we have the cam phaser back in, it's time for round 2 with the AC Delco RTV on the timing cover. Yes, this is always fun to try and clean off. Torque all the bolts to 18 foot-pounds and then use our special balancer tool to press the harmonic balancer back on, and then torque it to high heaven.
Water pump going back in. Nice.
Now that the front of the motor is pretty much back together, we start hooking up all the various hoses, hopefully for the last time.
Let's go. Radiator hooked back up. Upper, lower radiator hose, all the coolant reservoir lines, water pump is in, alternator is in. AC compressor fought me for at least 45 minutes, but we got it in. Guys, we were so close to starting up my first ever engine build ever, and I'm incredibly nervous. All we have left is spark plug wires, and in my header pipes hooking it to the exhaust, and then we're ready to fire up. But man, I'll tell you, it's getting warm here in Texas. Spring, summertime, really starting to break a sweat, and I freaking love it. It makes me feel like I'm putting in work, I'm doing something, which is the perfect time to break out some Element, who is sponsoring today's video. Now, when you're disassembling and reassembling something that's fairly delicate and complex like this, you want to be sure that you are setting yourself up for success. That includes making sure you yourself are being sharp and not making mistakes like leaving out the lockout in your cam phaser and having to tear back into your motor because you forgot it. And a big part of staying sharp and feeling good, staying hydrated. So what is it? It's an electrolyte drink mix, or a sparkling electrolyte water. Zero sugar, none of those other dodgy ingredients found in other sports drinks, and it was born from the growing body of research that reveals that optimal health outcomes occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times government recommendations, and it tastes really good.
The days I'm feeling fatigued or getting headaches, I can almost always track it down to a root cause: not being optimally hydrated. And that's where Element has come in clutch for me over the past year.
And I heard it just like you growing up: drink 8 glasses of water per day, regardless thirsty or not. Guys, that was being coached back in the 1940s. It wasn't until the 1960s, like 20 years later, they determined smoking is probably not a good idea. Just for some perspective. And guys, Element's community serves as proof, from professional athletes to business leaders to average Joes like you and me that just want something easy to implement into their day-to-day to make themselves feel better and perform better. To be honest, this has been my cheat code to staying hydrated over this past year, and I actually really do love this stuff. You can check them out, link in the description below, drinkelement.com/LoneStar. Go get yourself a free sample pack with any purchase. And again, there's no risk to that purchase. If you guys don't like it, they'll get you taken care of. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring today's video, making things like this possible, but we got some headers to bolt up. Let's get this thing fired up. Almost there, truck. Almost there. Spark plug wires, and then we are empty. Put back together. We're gonna hear this thing roar to life in just a second. Just as a reminder, if you missed our last video, we do have an unlocked ECM and TCM installed on the truck. So the engine control module and transmission control module have been unlocked from HPTuners. At a certain year of these Chevys, GM really doesn't want people messing with the ECMs and TCMs, but HPTuners found a way to get them unlocked. So these two are unlocked, which means we have the ability to write over the top of the stock tune file, which Matt has done a very base level tune, very safe, so it's probably gonna run a little bit rough, but we have to just start somewhere. If you guys are total lunatics like I am and doing this for yourself, highly recommend taking your stock ECM and TCM out, sending that to HPTuners for them to perform the unlock, versus getting a brand new ECM and TCM like I did, because I'm having to jump a few more hurdles to get to where I need.
Needless to say, there's a few different control modules on these trucks. We just replaced the engine and transmission ones, but because they're new, they're not yet friends with the other modules, so in order to get them synced up, we had to purchase another device and pay a $45 subscription on AC Delco's Techline Connect to run an IMMO, or Immobilizer Relearn, so the truck would be allowed to start with these new modules.
You guys with the old cars that has a key for the door and a different key for the ignition, I'm jealous of you guys right now. Things were more simple back then. We've got the tune file on the truck. We've got the credits for the truck, so we can tune this thing as much as we possibly want now. So now that that's complete, the key fob should work with the new ECM synced up with the BCM. The truck should fire up. Oil is good, spark plugs are hooked up, exhaust is hooked up, battery's charged, ready to go. You guys ready for this? I'm gonna bring this with me, just in case. Open up this guy. Remember, the last motor I took apart, I was in high school. That motor is now a coffee table. So you kind of figure how that ended. But this is hooked up, tune file is in. I think we're good. Okay. I'll go ahead and start the scan. All right, ladies and gents, this could get a little bit rowdy. pressure's looking great. See, O2 sensors are oscillating. I can't even hold the camera straight. I'm shaking. You can definitely hear the coolant going to where it's supposed to be. Guys, I'm so pumped. Went ahead and double checked everything real quick that I could, making sure there wasn't any fluid coming from anywhere it's not supposed to be, and I think we're good. So we're gonna go ahead and slap the rest of this truck back together. When the truck was running, there wasn't any knocking or clicking sounds that would indicate any like valves hitting pistons or anything, something stupid, or like I screwed up on the cam. It started immediately, and it idled just fine, idled down once it got a little bit warmer. We only let it run for about 45 seconds to a minute, but I think we're good, guys. What we're gonna do is get the rest of these parts on the floor back on the truck, and I need to go with the wheels and tires and throw them back as well, but so freaking pumped, guys. Let's go. Let's get this truck back together.
Well, it's a good thing we took lots of photos as we tore this truck down. I kept having to go back to them to reference where all these parts went. Slowly but surely, one part at a time, this truck started to come back together.
Got these little guys. Put that in there. That pulls up, screws in. All right, we figure since we're already in here, we might as well change this up just a little bit. So this is the Lone Star Hawaiian ocean color that I have kind of throughout all my cars. Now it's gonna be on this cross member brace. This will be partially visible through those shutters in the grill. So I think it's gonna be cool, kind of in the backdrop. So these little touches we do from time to time. Whew, let's go. Wheel liners, tires, and we're off. Look at this thing, guys. Look at this thing. Monumental moment. Last piece of the puzzle to go back on the truck. We can go for a drive. All right, so what we're doing here is hooking up our wideband. So it's gonna read the actual air-fuel ratios coming through the exhaust system to run in conjunction with the tune. That way Matt can see how the truck is commanding the air-fuel ratios and what the actuals are coming out like. I feel like this truck fought me every single step of the way, but it wasn't just the truck. Software issues was the theme of the day yesterday, and I just realized that the fight started before we even dove into the truck, because the day we dove into this, my garage door spring broke. I just remembered that. Oh, we're free. Sheesh. All right, we are off. Temperature's looking good, oil pressure's looking really good. Now we got a full 3 gallons of Dexcool in this thing. So over the course of a day and a half, I just kind of kept filling it up, and it slowly just kept burping itself and all the bubbles would come out. I think we're about there. I think the capacity is like 3.2 or 3.4 gallons. All right, so he told me 15 to 20 minute drive, nothing over 40% throttle. It sounds incredible. I had no idea if this truck would ever leave the garage under its own power. It did, and now I'm driving it. All right, guys. Guys, I'm so stoked. Ooh, we timed that just right, guys. Hear the rain coming in already. Look at that. All right, so we got the computer inside. We're gonna download the data log file, get that over to Matt. He'll take a look at it, make the needed revisions. Man, brother Matt, you are quick, sir. So we've got a revised file already back from Matt. What we're doing right now is kind of diving into the math and cleaning that up, which should help torque control, or is the basis of torque control. No, I'm still learning this stuff. The setup on the truck is very uncommon. There's not a good base for him to run off of, so he's running a little bit blind here. So in advance, thank you, Matt, if you're seeing this, thank you for knocking this out. We have a few surprises coming for that truck later on, which is why this is a very uncommon setup at the moment. But there is also something that I totally screwed up on that I should have taken care of before I went on that first drive, and it's a P0315 code that was thrown, which a crank relearn is needed on that truck. It should be fairly painless, so we're gonna knock that crank relearn out, get on our second data log here. You guys don't know this, but I've been in a full panic mode for the last 20 minutes or so. I decided to drain a little bit of oil out of the truck just to take a look at it, but also I overfilled it by about like a half or a quarter quart. So I wanted to take a little bit out. And when I removed the plug, the consistency seemed a little thinner than usual. The truck is still relatively warm. I pulled it out and the color of the oil was a lot darker than I wanted to see. My heart's been pounding for the last 20 minutes trying to figure out if I have a serious problem or not. And that was the first startup after pretty much a rebuild. We have about a quarter tube of this assembly lube, the lifters, the cam, everything that the oil will be running over. But here is why I'm freaking out, guys. Mobile 1, 0W20. This is what I just drained out of my oil pan. It's not really milky at all. It's just really, really dark. I guess worst case scenario, we blow up the 5.3 and go find another one because they're very easy to find. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is get the tune file that Matt just sent me uploaded into the truck, and then I'm gonna go through and try to do that crank relearn process. Open file, big kahuna, tune files. All right, revision number 2. Flash the truck here, right vehicle. All right, it's gonna go through the process there, put version 2 of this tune on this truck. Hopefully, there's not coolant flowing into my oil. Hey, you wanna hear your truck? It's almost ready. We are 2 tuning revisions in, and hasn't blown up yet. This is genuinely the first time she has heard this truck start up in a little while. All right, it is a little intense. Okay. Rowdy is the word that I would describe it as.
Rowdy.
The initial startup's a little bit rowdy. Then it really mellows down and it sounds so good. Yeah.
Am I an actual YouTuber now?
See, it screams quite a bit at first, but then it mellows down. And then when it starts really idling, you get a little lope, like a little cam, like we want to. Like I want to.
How's that?
Come, my dear, come. Here comes the good part. It's coming.
Oh, that sounds nice. Right there. I like it.
You got a race truck.
Yeah,
What's nice is the cam actually runs really smoothly when you're just doing normal driving. It feels like a stock truck, but at idle, it doesn't sound like a stock truck.
sounds nice.
Can be intense. I love the shimmy, the little shake. It runs so smooth, and we're not done tuning it yet. Matt's killing it. So what do you think?
I like it.
Are you impressed with your husband that took apart an engine, put it back together?
Yeah, and it started.
And it's working?
And it started.
She's lying. She's not impressed at all.
I am too impressed. You had me worried. And I told all my coworkers, I'm like, he tore it apart.
It's running.
It sounded
Listen.
so good.
It's running. Check that out. Oil pressure's great. Temp's great. Check engine light's still on. Still can't figure out that crank relearn. We'll get it figured out. It smells like a race car too. Truck, we'll see you in a minute. Matt, you keep doing your witchcraft on the computer, and we'll see you back when he has our next tune file for us. So since we have a little bit of time, we're gonna go ahead and install some Go Faster parts sent over from Solar Performance, all in preparation for LS Fest on the ZL1. You guys know the deal. 6th gen Camaro ZL1, LT4 supercharged, bald eagle screaming V8. Unlike the Silverado, this platform, incredibly reliable. Outside the ones with the faulty oil pumps, but we got lucky here. And a lot of you guys don't know this. This car was the entire reason I started this YouTube channel like 8 years ago. At the time I was driving a truck, working 12 hours a day, and my wife was a school teacher. There's no way in the heck I could afford this car at the time. So years later of working multiple jobs, we finally found a reason to justify a purchase like this. Now I have my dream car. Unfortunately, when it comes to YouTube, this car just doesn't perform on the video. That's why you don't see it a whole lot, but every once in a while I want to show it some love. Relatively bone stock LT4 outside of a colder intake and catback exhaust. So essentially what we've done is allowed more air to go from here to there quicker and more efficiently, and more air to escape out the back. But there's a potential bottleneck in that system. The stock throttle body on this car, 87 millimeters. What we have from Solar Performance is a 95 millimeter throttle body. So essentially 10% larger, in addition to a throttle controller, because we all know that throttle by wire, however great it is, you give it throttle and the car thinks, do you really want to go that fast? So hopefully between the throttle body and the throttle controller, we will not get beat by a stock C8 ever again. I'm also very curious if you follow the steps that Solar Performance gave us, if we can recalibrate the car with the stock tune to handle the bigger throttle body, the better throttle control, and more bald eagles. Let's find out. Just check out the difference here. 95 millimeter Solar Performance throttle body versus our stock OEM. Now, nothing wrong with this one. This one's gonna flow a heck of a lot better. The machine work on this is gorgeous. Look at the back, even just right there with the throttle blade, like golf ball like dimples cut in there. And even the machine work on the adapter plate, it's just gorgeous. We have to follow a very specific procedure to recalibrate this all together to make sure the LT4 is happy with the bigger bald eagle producing throttle body that we're about to slap on here. Perfect. This is gonna hook up and mount just behind our gas pedal there, and we're going to be able to control it from this device as well as our smartphone. Throttle controller is hooked up, batteries back in. We're gonna open the garage up and fire her up. Got myself a Bluetooth pairing. All right, so this is what's really cool about it. So we're gonna leave it on OEM for now until we get the throttle body tuned in, installed, and ready to go, and then we can start messing with the different controls. We have all the different modes we can drive in, but what I think is really cool, if I go back here, go to settings, I can lock this thing. But say we're parking in a little bit of a sketchy area. If I hit lock, locks the throttle. Throttle does nothing. That is very cool. I knew this was gonna happen. I thought I broke my car for a second. Wide open, wide open. I put it on lock just kind of as a test. Forgot about it. Nothing. Hit unlock. Yeah, I love that function. So we tested out the functions just a little bit, and man, it can make your throttle incredibly touchy. But Sport 1 seems to be my sweet spot, because anything else is just, there's too much sensitivity in the throttle, and I don't like it. So some people running that Sport 3, Sport 4, Sport 5. Sport 1's probably where I'm gonna live at. But that lock function, I really do like that. And not one hint of knock. Car's happy for the most part. Now I wasn't running the wideband, so I don't know the actual air-fuel ratios, but car was happy and quicker. I tried my best to recreate that same scenario. Before, 6.5 seconds, 20 to 80 miles an hour. After the Solar Performance throttle body and throttle controller, 5.76 seconds. That was
way quicker. So if you guys want to check out Solar Performance's throttle controllers or even their awesome throttle bodies, head over to solarengineering.com. I'll put a link in the description below. You can use the code Lone Star for 5% off any of their items on the site. So they set me up a special code Lone Star. Thank you, Solar Engineering. I didn't expect it to be that good. That was awesome. All right, we got our next tune file. Now it sounds like on the crank relearn that I'm trying to do, it's my fault right now. I'm just chicken footing it. So I'm supposed to bring it up past 4,000 RPM and hold it there for a little bit. We are gonna complete that here in just a minute. But before then, I need one more data log for Matt. Now he did mention this next data log is probably gonna piss off the truck, especially at idle. He's trying to dial in the idle torque model and he needs this data to do that. All right, right completed. Oh shoot, my neighbor's out. We're gonna wait for just a second. First time doing this truck. Hold on. Well, idle down way quicker. This thing sounds insane. It's such a tasteful cam. It's not stupid and ridiculous. It's really sounds good. That piece that we wrapped in that ocean color. I also need to rewrap the hood. This carbon fiber wrap. Yeah, after a year and a half. There we go. There we go. She ain't happy. Spark table is kind of all over the place. All right, we're gonna let this warm up for a minute. Once it's warm, take it for a drive and get that file over to Matt. That idle still is not happy, but we are currently in the middle of a field because we're gonna do our crank relearn out here. The truck's rowdy, especially when you get up to about 5,000 RPM, which I think we do have to hold it between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM for a second or two. And yeah, my neighbors would be happy. So we've come to disturb the bugs. All right, tune number 4 uploading. Now, Matt did mention that this truck is a Global A truck, which is incredibly more difficult to tune than like the 2018 and older models. If you got a 2018 and older, super simple process. GM, I think, is making it harder and harder to customize these vehicles. So there's some growing pains when it comes to HPTuners and tuning these things. Let's keep that in mind. So we're working through some of those nuances right now. This tune should clean up the idle just a little bit, but I do need to get that idle file over to him to make sure it's solid and good to go. Now I did discover that I messed up on our TCM installing the old unlocked one. It's supposed to transfer over all the solenoid data from the old one, so the shifts are incredibly hard, which is throwing a bunch of transmission codes, so I need to do that tonight. But before then, I need to get Matt data log number 5 on this thing. So we're gonna let it idle up, go on a 25-minute drive, and get that over to him. But conveniently enough, that is the distance to where we are going. So let's go. First time back in your truck. What do you think?
Oh, I missed it.
We're almost done. Almost done with it. What do you think of the idle?
The idle sounds nice.
Well, how would you describe it?
Like a growl.
And I'm gonna do some research tonight just to figure out what's going on with the crank relearn. It's gotta be an easy fix. I just don't know what it is. I get about 3/4 of the way through the process and it's just like it won't finish it. We'll figure it out. I cannot get over how good this sounds. It's a race truck. What's even funnier is this is my wife's daily driver. She drives this to work every day. She teaches at a middle school. Family car. Mm-hmm. Family car that goes chop, 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 chop. since we pulled the truck in the garage. No check engine light, but the crank relearn never showed completed on the computer. So I'm a little bit worried because I eliminated the check engine light, cycled the ignition a couple times, we were okay. Took a quick break, came back, turned it on, and it was back. So I did another crank relearn. Again, same thing, it hits the fuel cutoff, cycles the ignition, nothing on the computer. But I figure this time I'll take it for a quick drive and just see maybe if it maybe it does its relearn, I don't know, finishes it up on the drive. Regardless, it's fun being able to drive this thing, not at like 40% throttle. This thing screams. So we may have to rethink our exhaust system, potentially the mufflers we're using, because it's excessive. But it's shifting better and better every single drive I take. So I'm assuming that the transmission control modules, the TCM, is just gonna continue to relearn the more and more we drive. Hopefully that check engine light stays off. Guys, we have effectively pulled apart this entire engine, put it back together, tuned it, and now we're driving. It is running better than it has ever run before. And I'm also happy to say, looking down here, that auto start stop, even though it's illuminated, will never turn off the truck. The truck will always be running on 8 cylinders because it has no ability to shut it down anymore. I'm excited for our next step on this truck because you guys killed it with the 20,000 likes way quicker than I anticipated, which means the supercharger's coming. Probably sooner than you might think. Matt, great job on the tune, but we're diving right back into it in the next few days. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you can, smash that like button below. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Follow along with the truck build because we have a lot more coming with this thing. And this thing might just be making an appearance at LS Fest, Texas, assuming I don't blow it up putting the supercharger on it. So guys, thank you so much again for all the support. We'll catch you guys in a few days for our next video. And until that day comes, as always, y'all take care. Ahui ho. Aloha.